Hello and welcome back. Continuing on where we left off, we were able to create this module in our last video, and let's bring it all together. We had been working with our student class before. Let me pull up my file over here. There you go. We had worked with a student class. We had initialize method, a toString method, and we were able to do this part right here. Let's go ahead and copy this, or if you're using in your local, you can simply use this one. How do we include the module with this class? I'm gonna copy all of this, Command A, Command C, go back here. I'm going to create a new file here, and I'll call it student.rb, and then paste it here. Okay, and then I'll get rid of the last part, the puts mashrur. All right. And this is called CRUD module, and we were using this require relative CRUD. So I'm gonna copy this and put it in my student RB as well. So, okay, so the idea is I want to use my CRUD module in this file. Now you can use it the way we have already, right? Because you already saw, you can simply require relative CRUD, and then you can say CRUD dot create secure users, blah, blah, blah. You can go this way. But what if you wanted to associate the class and the class have access to the methods in that module? How do you do that? We already know that, you make some more space. We already know we can use the methods from CRUD, but let's say we wanted to do something like create a student object. So I have mashrur over here. What if I wanted mashrur dot create hash digest? What if I wanted to do that, to take mashrur's password and turn it into a hash digest of the password simply by calling the object itself, the mashrur object itself. Right now, can I do that? Let's try it out. What if I wanted something like this? So I have my mashrur object. If I clear this up, I'm doing mashrur equals student.new with all of this info, and I have mashrur's password as password1. So if I did p mashrur, that should give me all this info. Let's try it out and make sure our student class works. Ruby student.rb. Whoops, I think my container reloaded. So let's run it again. Ruby student.rb. It's a problem with REPL. Again, we're just doing this for the Ruby section. If you're working with your local, then these problems shouldn't occur for you. Okay, so you see how module CRUD was activated? That's because I did require relative CRUD. And you see that my student object got created with the password. Okay, perfect. And what we're going to do now is basically object-oriented programming taken to the next level here. What if we wanted to do something like this? Mashrur dot create hash password, and then give it mashrur.password. What if I wanted to do something like this? Because remember, I have mashrur object and I have the getter and setter for password. So I can use mashrur.password to get password1. So what if I wanted to do this and say, save it to this hashed password? What if I wanted to call this method right on the object itself? Considering I have the CRUD module, and I should be able, right here, create hash. Oh, whoops, it's called create hash digest. So let's go ahead and fix that real quick. Create hash digest right here. If I did this and then p hash password, or puts, let's do puts here because we don't need object info. Okay, let's run it. Okay, so you see it couldn't find this method for my student object. Now, what if I tried the masroor.crud.create hash digest? Would this work? See, this didn't work either. So the problem here is that we need to include this module inside our class. So if I do this instead, include CRUD, okay? If I do that, let's run it. Okay, it's still giving me the same error. But see, now that we have included it, we can do something different. We can actually get rid of this, and then in our module, if I go back to my CRUD module, I can actually get rid of these. See, CRUD dot, I can get rid of these. So now if I go back to my student RB, that will allow me to now use notation like this, masroor.create hash digest. Let's see if it works. Check it out. It worked. That's amazing stuff, right? Now I'm creating an object of this student class, and I'm able to include or mix in the functionality associated with my module, or that I got from my module, and I can simply use that directly on the object itself, on that class object itself. And notice how that really increases the capacity of what you can do with objects and object-oriented programming and mixins like this. You can take modules, and there are lots of modules out there, and you can make the functionality of the modules available to your class. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. If there's a functionality that you want, you can simply include it, right? So I hope you enjoyed learning about how to do that and this mini project that we've built, and look at the possibilities it opens up. You have a user object with all these attributes. We've seen how to work with different attributes, how to create them, how to create modules themselves, how to include them as mixins. There's so much we've covered. And if you're feeling a little lost, I would say do a quick review of the object-oriented programming part that we've done over the last 4 or 5 videos, right? Just to do a quick refresher. You can run the videos at 2x speed if you want. And don't worry, the more you work with these things, these objects, the more you create them, the more you work with them, the clearer the concepts will get. And it will get very easy over time. For me, when I first started out doing OOP and working with OOP associated with different different programming languages, it did take me some time to grasp it, right? But once you do, very easy, and it's transferable to all other languages. And of course, when we're getting started with Rails, you'll see this in action and used all over the place, right? A lot of this stuff, initialization and stuff, will become easier with Rails because it'll handle a lot of that for you. But in general, it will come in handy to understand how this methodology actually works. So that brings to a conclusion the Ruby section of this course. If you've been using REPL exclusively at this point and haven't done any installation of Ruby or Rails, at this point, I would recommend going back to section 1 and doing either installation based on the cloud-based IDE or a local installation based on the videos that are provided. And I really hope you enjoyed this section on learning about the Ruby programming language and everything we've covered in it. And in the next section, we're going to get started with web application development with Ruby on Rails. See you there.